Alright, over here at Hive number 2, thanks for tuning back in and checking out the channel. If you haven't done so, I would appreciate it if you were to subscribe, and if you hit the bell, you'll receive notifications of future videos. So, after doing some thinking and receiving some feedback from folks across our social media platforms, I've decided it's time to reduce the hives to a single deep brood chamber. So as you can see, I have 2 deeps, or you'll see here in a second, and a medium super on here. So what I'm going to do, in addition to a routine hive inspection, I'm going to check the colony for swarm cells, and if I find any true queen cells, meaning it has an egg in the queen cups being a dry cell, it doesn't have an egg, they just created the cell. I'm going to check for the queen. Well, I really need to find the queen at that point. And if she's still in here, meaning they haven't swarmed yet, I'm just going to go through and tear down all the swarm cells. If they made a supersedral cell, which is at the top third usually of a frame, there's reasons beyond my scope for the colony to do that. Superseding means something's wrong with the queen, health, performance, something like that. So if I find supersedral cells, my usual course of action is just to let nature take its course. However, if I find swarm cells, which are typically found at the bottom of the frames, if I find a true queen cell in the development, meaning it has an egg in it, I've got to find the queen. If I can't find the queen, I'm just going to have to let nature take its course and that swarm cell to fully develop and hatch, because they may have swarmed at that point. However, the queen is usually hard to find, so if I can't find her, as usual, I'm always looking for eggs. So if there are day-old eggs in there, more than likely I have a chance of finding the queen, but if you can't find any eggs and you have developing queen cells, they may have swarmed already. Alright, so enough of me yapping. I'm going to perform a routine hive inspection and reduce this colony, this hive, down to a single deep. So as I go through the top box, I'll just make note of the best looking brood frames. Same thing in the bottom box, and combined, try and get 10 solid, or 10 nice brood frames together to keep in the bottom. Alright, now I'm done yapping. I know you guys can't tell this, but I'm burning something pretty nice in the smoker because it actually smells pleasant, which usually is not the case. Quick peek in this super. See how they're doing. That's always something I'm curious about, just because, you know, biggest perk to having bees is being able to harvest your own honey. And this is frame 6, I think, 5 or 6. Oh yeah, they are packing away some nectar. The blueberry just stopped blooming. Oh, and they're actually capping some of it. That's nice. I posted on Instagram the other day because I saw a few bees on some gallberry. So that's the cycle for my part of North Carolina. As the blueberries stop, as that nectar stops, the gallberry starts, which is an excellent source of nectar for the bees. The spacing seems a little off on this middle frame. It's a little more space than it needs, so that's better. And to try and contain the madness, I'm going to keep the inner cover on top of the super and place the super directly inside the outer cover. So there'll be some activity, but like I said, just an effort to try and contain the madness here. Slide the camera a little closer. So, since I'm going to reduce this down to a single deep, I'm also going to remove the frame feeder. I'm going to grab a drawn out frame from another hive to give them 10 full frames, and at the same time, checking as a routine inspection, do some maintenance, make frames fit just a little better, because they definitely build up a lot of propolis. And And it doesn't seem like much when you go through the hive week by week, but over time it definitely builds up, that's for sure. Alright, here we go. And I think it's probably time to get rid of some of these crappy frames. It's got a few frames that just, they are well past their point of use. So that's a good frame to get rid of as well, since it's brand new and doesn't really have much going on. There's probably a few frames like that, honestly. So routine inspection. Yeah, like this frame. Let me fix it over here. Like this isn't the best frame, you know? They're not doing anything with it. And reducing this to a single deep might be a good thing, because this frame here is full of nectar they haven't capped yet. So as usual, checking for the queen, but it looks like they're making use of this top box anyway as a super. I mean, there is some brood I can see, but for the most part it's just frame after frame of nectar. So it shouldn't be too difficult reducing this one to a single deep. And whatever brood is up here, it's really not much to worry about. It'll hatch out and the bees will backfill it. So if you look back at previous videos, this is one of those hives that I thought, or it may have swarmed actually, but I thought it was queenless when I was looking at it, for the sheer fact that I just could not find any eggs. And then, in the middle of the inspection, stumbled across the queen. So it seems like they may have swarmed at some point. I'm out here weekly now. There was one stretch where I went about 2 weeks between inspections, and I kind of think that's where that issue came from. And another tip, if you ever want to reduce a double deep into a single, instead of going frame by frame looking for the queen and everything, you can simply move your queen excluder in between the two deeps, come back in a few days, and then at that point you're just checking for eggs, and whatever box you find eggs in, that is the box that has the queen. So I remember that tip from last year. I thought it was a pretty good tip. Easy way to figure out where your queen's at. And then the other thing with single deep management, it should make things a little easier moving forward throughout the season, because at that point you know where the queen's at. You know she's down in the one deep, and then at that point it's just routine inspections, checking for swarm cells. There's a few queen cups here, but there's no eggs in them. Yeah, they're definitely using this as a honey super anyway. I mean, this is just full of food. So we'll definitely have to check the bottom box, of course, just to see if the queen is using it properly. As a brood chamber. I don't see too much activity up here as far as brood goes. And you know what? If I just thought about this. If I have a second deep up here that I'm gonna use as a honey super, I have never tried this before, but given I have a few frames that aren't drawn out at all, instead of putting in a 10th frame, I might just run this as a 9 frame and have them expand, build out each frame pretty fat. So I think that's what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh yeah, because I had the feeder in there. Yeah, this last frame doesn't have anything going on, as you can see here. So I'm going to checkerboard them at this point. So I'm going to put that frame there. And I don't have a spacer, so that's where things will get a little interesting. And this frame is decent shape. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 8. Put this frame on the very far outside. And let's see. So you can push that one in a little. This is, as you can see, all eyeballing, really. Just because I don't have a spacer. Which would be good to have, I suppose, for this very reason. And I really don't want to put that crappy frame in there. Here, we'll do this. I'll put this frame more so in the center. Maybe that'll prompt them to work it. And I'm going to run this deep as a 9 frame super. So we'll see what happens. That's probably going to be the last year for that frame. Alright, so at this point, I'm just going to space them how I think they should be. Actually, let's just push everything together. Because you're really not going to have that much space between the frames, even though it's a 9 frame. You're just giving them a little space to draw out the frames, nice and fat. And from the articles I read, each frame can actually hold a little more honey. As in, you can get more honey out of a 9 frame super than a 10 frame, if you can believe it or not. So, let's see how this goes. Looks pretty good. And the bees will let you know if your spacing was off, because you'll have some pretty funky looking space between the colony, or between the frames. Yeah, maybe buying a spacer would be a good idea. And just to show you real quick, that's what we're going for. I mean, that's just drawn comb. At some point they were using as brood, but next time or over the next few months, that's what I want to see as far as the honey super. These fat frames. Alright, so let's get down to the bottom box. So again, routine inspection. Always checking for swarm cells this time of year, and always checking to make sure the colony is queen right. So if you can't find the queen, the next best thing is to find eggs. Falling apart too. Let me fix this. And I think that's the same small queen running around. Ah, crap. I can actually hear her piping. What is this? Oh, wait. Let's see if we can hear her piping. Okay, I'm gonna leave her there. So she was on the far left frame, which is kind of unusual. I'm pretty sure that's the queen. Well, we'll see if she stays in there. Because I thought I saw another. And at this point, I'm really checking for eggs. Which I don't think I'd find in that frame, the outside frame. So yeah, let me move a few things around because I'm running out of space here. That's unusual as far as my experience goes to find eggs small. I don't know, we'll see. I don't think she'd still be a virgin queen at this point because it's been about a week or so since I was out here. We'll be able to tell here in a little bit as I move through the frames. Try to find some eggs. This ain't looking too good. I know I'm only on the second frame, but that's all food. So hopefully they're not queenless. I mean, they're not queenless, but maybe she just hasn't made it yet. That looks like food as well. Not too sure what's going on here. I mean, my gut's telling me she hasn't started laying yet. Which, you know, patience is the key as well. So, I don't find any brood, given they have a queen. That is quite the mystery, really. I'll just have to keep checking as the weeks go by. Died. Yeah, just have to keep checking. Week by week. Because they definitely have this room. She definitely has the room, but they're filling it up with food real quick. There's bees bringing in pollen, which is usually a good sign. She's piping right now, you can actually hear it. Hopefully you can hear that. Yeah, it's definitely a queen bee. Trying to get her to pipe again. And maybe she just hasn't gone on a mating flight yet. That's the only thing I can come up with, because they don't have any brood in here. Which obviously is not a good thing, but it is a true, complete brood break. Really checking for swarm cells at this point. I've never had this happen before, to have a queen, a virgin queen, I'm assuming, just because I don't see any eggs whatsoever. Okay, so decision time, I suppose. I'm just gonna leave it as is. Have a little more patience. Maybe she just needs another week to go out to mate. The weather has been not exactly the best lately. You can't tell based off the weather right now. This is that crappy frame. Let's see. Usually I have a hammer out here with me, but right now I don't. Fix it next time. There we go. Alright, well, they're queen right. Well, they don't have any brood, so that's it's just a different, that is just a different situation for me. Let's get her back in there. Alright, well, she's gone. Let's put the queen excluder on, smoke them a little bit. And we'll just see what happens. And then for this deep spaced as a 9 frame. So we'll see what that does. Alright, this is a little longer of a inspection and everything. Check out this chaos. Yeah, we'll see what comes of this. So this is hive number 2. Reduced it down to a single deep. I kept the other deep on, but now it's a honey super. As you can see, the queen excluder's right here, and then the previous super still on there. So just like last week, I was able to find the queen, but she looks significantly smaller than other queens. So given her size and the fact that I can't find any eggs or pupated larvae or anything, I'm thinking she's still a virgin queen. So I'm not sure why she hasn't gone on a mating flight yet, but I'm going to give this another week and check back, another 5 days, 5 to 7 days. Check back and see if anything's changed. Hopefully she goes and mates, comes back and starts laying some eggs, but we'll see. Time will tell. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.